Alright, so I'm looking at the dollar right now. Um, Thinking bullish dollar. I said that I wasn't really trying to trade very much, but honestly, if I see opportunity, I'm just going to take it. So, and yes, it is partially because I just want to trade. Like, when I'm not trading and I'm not like, when I know I'm not trading for like the week or something, it just feels so wrong. I'm not going to lie. But, yeah. Um, News today, one bit of news an hour before London ends. For the euro, we have PPI tomorrow. Thanksgiving on Thursday, unemployment claims on Wednesday. So really, I'm only gonna be looking for trade setups potentially to form in Monday, Tuesday. Day before a holiday, I'm not really trying to trade that. Same with day after, but there could be a setup potentially, but it's unlikely. Um, so yeah, today what I'm looking at though, on the weekly, we obviously had just swept this weekly short-term high, which was the current month's high until we swept it, and then we closed higher, and then on the daily, this daily candle Friday opened, tapped into this previous day's low, then went higher and closed lower. So I'm looking at this on the 4 hour, and I see this redelivered rebalance, but we haven't really had a change in the state of delivery to the downside. We've had a change in the state of delivery to the upside, right? Because we closed past this high and then also opened and closed a completely another candle there as well. Not to mention, obviously this is coming from previous day's low sweep and the daily for value gap. I do see how price reacted off this on the 4 hour, but I'm looking at that because it's taking a relatively equal low, right? So I'm looking at this as internal range liquidity getting swept, and now we're going to be targeting external range liquidity. So I do believe that previous day's high is on the table for us today. Maybe not during London, but if not London, then most likely New York will be taking it. For the scenario, actually to clarify, so the stage we're coming from is obviously previous day of sweep from Friday, reacting off of it, right? So we're coming from that. But on top of that, we also have this order block. Last down close candle before the change in the state delivery, which we've obviously tested. But then we've also swept liquidity inside of that, right? Not to mention we're just in a discount of this current daily range that we're in. So I did want to enter off of this retest here, but Euro hadn't done this yet. Like, it hasn't closed past it yet. I did watch, and I would have like timed it with dollar. I would have entered somewhere around here. I didn't enter because I was honestly still debating whether or not I want to enter. So yeah, if price just runs without me, then it is what it is. I'm not going to enter, but I would like to wait for Euro to close past this 1 hour for value gap and enter off of the retest of it, and then target previous day's low for Euro, because it's basically the same thing for dollar, right? Obviously these are the relatively equal highs that are on dollar. We had swept them, and this is also a 4 hour for value gap, so we're coming from that as well. Not to mention this, I wonder if this is exact. 415, 415. So yeah, we also tapped this 4 hour order block, which is to the tick. That's pretty crazy. So yeah, like I said, I would really prefer if we could close past this on the 1 hour. If we do, I think that, and no, I didn't take this trade. I just marked this up. I was looking at this previous day's high sweep, 30-minute engulfing, would have entered. Yeah, obviously would have hit. But I wasn't targeting this day's low, by the way. I was targeting these. This actually looks inverse a little bit of this. Like, in a way. I just got deja vu with these relatively equal highs. Yeah, that was weird. So yeah, anyways, like I said, I would really prefer that this 1 hour candle closes past, doesn't leave without us. But then, honestly, this 15-minute for value up looks kind of nice. So I might want to move my entry up to that instead. So we shall see. I wonder what it looks like on DXY. DXY does have one. See, this is where it's a little interesting for my system, because my system says, like, okay, if I'm in a scenario where Asia expanded against us, right? Then I wait for this opposing 1 hour fair value up to get closed through for an entry. But dollar already did that. You know what I mean? So I really need to clear up whether or not it needs to be just one or both. You know what I mean? I think I am slowly leaning towards just having one at least, because that's I believe that's how I traded off of a previous setup, if I remember correctly. Like, there was only one, or no, that's how this 30-minute was when I was watching this 30-minute. Obviously, this isn't the opposing range, but this 30-minute had an engulfing candle on euro, right? But then the dollar didn't have an engulfing candle. Obviously, like I said, it's not the opposing range, but similar idea. Do I need both or just one? And I think I really am just leaning towards having at least one asset follow the criteria, and then I'm good. And then at the same time, it's like, okay, we're coming from a 4-hour stage, so then I would just need any kind of entry, right? Like 15-minute entry could work. But yeah, I'm gonna be picky because it is kind of end of year, right? So I'm just gonna wait for this 1 hour candle to close and then look for an entry in this 15-minute for value gap. Unless we make a lower one, then I'm just gonna go with the original 1 hour fair value gap retest entry and go for that. Alright, so this 1 hour candle has come back to this 15-minute entry. And I don't know if this is me breaking my rules or not, if I were to just enter off this. Right? Because, like, technically the scenario is a 1 hour for value gap. Or, 1 hour for value gap in the opposing range. So I'd want to wait for this 1 hour for value gap to get closed through. But at the same time, it's like, okay, we're coming from this 4 hour fair value gap, right, on the euro, and then on the dollar we're coming from this order block, so it's like we're good, right? Like, we're good. Let me just see real quick. 13. Yeah, I'm gonna just do it, bro. I'm gonna just do it. I'm gonna just enter. Wait, where are we at? What's going on? Bang. Oops. Market sell to. Bang.
Order filled.
Buy stop. Bang. Buy limit. Bang. Tight beat. Tight beat. So now we're looking at, I think that's 200, right? Or no, 180? Yeah, 187. Now we have 26 minutes left in the hourly candle, so we want to see this turn. Let's see if the dollar tapped into its. Okay, the dollar hasn't tapped into its 15-minute or the 30-minute, so it still could dig a little bit deeper on us, potentially, which is fine. But yeah, I don't think this is me. The main thing I'm worried about in this trade is whether or not I'm breaking my rules, right? because I do say like, okay, when the scenario is this, I need to enter like this. Like this is how I play it. But like I said, at the same time, we're coming from an array, right? So as long as like this is the stage and the direction seems clear, right? Previous 4-hour candle coming from that, so this next 4-hour candle should be the continuation. And the same thing with this one is we're in the stage and we already are following order flow as well. What's Euro order flow? Yeah, Euro order flow is still bearish as well. So we're in line with direction, we have a stage, and now entry is executed. So I think sometimes I can overthink it because I have a few different plays, and some of them can contradict each other, like this one, right? And it's not like one is necessarily wrong, right? They're both plays. Like I said, this one, obviously, the scenario with this is Asia opposing range. Then I would wait for this 1-hour candle to go close past it. But like I was mentioning earlier, one had already done that, right? The dollar. So if I wanted to enter like this, I could have already, right? Towards the top end of this, well, it wouldn't have been here. It would have been like around here is where I would have entered, right? But yeah, I don't think this is me breaking my rules. And if it is, then this is something that I can work on and refine depending on the data I get back from executing my system like this. So we are chilling. What is the potential amount that we can make on this though? 59 ticks on 2 contracts. So if it does take previous day's low, then we get 1.5%, pretty much. A little under 1.5%. We do have somewhat relatively equal lows here. I don't really like how these lows are close to the body of the candles and this leg upwards in general. I feel like that, like this low would look better, but even then it's not the best, right? So I'm mainly just targeting this low overall. So yeah, obviously as usual, I'm just gonna monitor it while I'm awake and see where it's at before I go to bed. Alright, price reversed pretty hard here, pretty hard. It did give me some profit, and then obviously it just turned around like real fast. We can see that obviously this was a Asia to London OTE, tapped it straight left, right? So what this tells me is that I'm obviously wrong on the direction here. The trade did go over 1.5 R, so I technically could have closed it after I hit 1.5, but I rarely do that anymore. But yeah, like I said, I was wrong on direction here, so I kind of want to look at why I was wrong. If we look at DXY, you can see this previous candle, 4-hour candle, obviously is bearish, but I didn't really think much of it because we had just swept relatively equal lows and we were inside of this 4-hour order block. So that's why I was like, okay, we're probably chilling, no? But at the same time, you know, coming from a previous day high sweep, and on top of that, we hadn't like really had a deeper retracement since that. I guess that's the only thing I could really think of that would really make sense as to why I was offside directionally. On the daily though, I mean, obviously the daily tapped into, actually, daily tapped into this daily for value up first, swept previous day's low, then swept this high, right? So it makes sense that this daily candle should technically be bearish, right? Especially if the weekly is bullish, we're going to want to make the low of the week earlier in the week. So even though it looks like we're coming from this daily for value up bullishly here on the daily, it didn't, that's not what was happening, right? We actually were coming from a previous day high sweep in this overall weekly high sweep. So kind of false advertising on the daily, 4 hour though, I don't really understand how, like, we technically haven't had a change in the state delivery. Like, we didn't close past this short-term low, right? Like, candle wise. So I was still looking at this as as bullish order flow. But I mean, I guess I could see bearishness here, especially since we had this reaction off of the 4 hour redelivered rebalance. I mean, obviously, in hindsight, I know that it was bearish, but it's kind of hard for me to see that in the moment. Either way, I was only risking 1/4%, so I mean, I guess I'm basically at break even. Yeah. So yeah, with the euro though, I think it was actually a similar thing, right? We hit the previous day high first. Yeah. Previous day high first, then swept previous day's low. And 4 hour, what? 4 hour had no change in the state of delivery, and we were tapped in from this 4 hour for value gap. Not to mention the 4 hour order block as well that we were coming from. That's a little confusing to me. Yeah, I don't really understand that, to be honest. Besides, like, obviously just, a higher time frame sweep of liquidity, which I know I've talked about in the past, and this is something that I've had to be more mindful of, is when we do have a higher time frame sweep of liquidity, right? Or even like a previous day high sweep even. I need to watch how it reacts and trade in line with that. Even if it's against overall order flow, I need to trade in line with it until we hit a good turning point, like a solid turning point from that sweep of liquidity. So, I mean, even though it was against, I guess this is something I have to, like, consider now, is even though there wasn't, like, a true change, like, for me personally, a change in the state of delivery on the 4 hour, we were coming from, even on the candlesticks, right? This looks like a fresh sweep of liquidity. We did tap into this array, so technically I would expect it to turn here. But, I mean, yeah, I guess I just have to keep trading with that until we see a good change in state delivery. That's actually crazy, I'm not gonna lie. But good to know, I guess. Alright. Alright, something else I just realized too is we also had SMT here on a larger time frame, with euro not taking this weekly short-term low and dollar taking its short-term high, weekly short-term high, and pound also not taking its weekly short-term low, right? So that could be something. The one thing that I'm trying to understand is, like, what is the target? You know what I mean? Like, what is price looking for? The only thing I can think of is internal range liquidity. Right here. And then right here. Because price had taken, I mean, for one, in this range, external range liquidity. But then on the dollar, obviously external range liquidity, but also external range liquidity, right? So it's like, actually, yeah, that makes sense. That could be the, like, what it's targeting. I just was trying to figure it out. I'm like, I don't understand what price to be targeting, though, besides this 4 hour fair value gap in the order block. But price had already tapped into that before London opened, so I was a little confused, but that definitely makes more sense. What else makes sense is this 4 hour candle's formation. First hour of this 4 hour candle, bearish, and then taps into OTE, bullish. So yeah, I'm a little sad and annoyed, I guess, that obviously I took this loss, but it was a small loss for one, and for two, it was a good reminder about higher time frame liquidity being swept and traded in line with that. I will be looking to try and trade tomorrow, but then after that, I'm probably good on the rest of the week, and then yeah. Um, yeah, I'm just gonna play week by week, and then obviously when it gets to like holiday, and like this is also my birthday week on December 10th. Probably not gonna be trading this week. Probably not gonna be trading this week because this looks crazy, but like I said, I'm just gonna play week by week, and by this like last 2 weeks, maybe the last 3 weeks of December, definitely not gonna be trading, and then gonna be mainly waiting for like mid-January. So, um, yeah, sucky loss. Good lesson learned. Trade in line with a higher time frame liquidity sweep. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it.